Today I'm canning hot sauce. This is supposed to be a copycat recipe for Frank's hot sauce, but actually I think it's better than Frank's. I want to start by saying that I don't believe this is an approved canning recipe, but it's very close to one that is. When I compare this recipe to Bernardin's recipe for station hot sauce, it's so close that I'm comfortable canning it. But you need to make these decisions for yourself. By the way, Bernardin is pretty much the Canadian version of the Ball Canning Company. Bernardin states that you can use whichever peppers you want. I'll put a link to the Bernardin recipe in the description box. I'm making a double batch here. I'll put the recipe for one batch below in the description box. The first thing you need to do is put on gloves. Cayenne peppers are hot, and if you don't wear gloves while handling them, you might end up with burning hands for days. I learned that one the hard way. To make the hot sauce, you need to de-seed the cayenne peppers. To do that, cut off the top of the pepper, cut it in half lengthwise, then take a bottle cap and scrape out the membranes and seeds. Then add the peppers to a pot, add chopped garlic, white vinegar, and salt. Stir the ingredients and bring it all to a boil. Then cover the pot and simmer it for 20 to 25 minutes. After that, you need to puree the peppers, and you could do that by whichever means you choose. I use a Ninja, and I prefer to puree just the peppers, then add the liquid to it to prevent the liquid from shooting out of the top of the blender. Once the peppers are pureed, there will be tiny bits of pepper skin in the sauce. You can strain that out if you want to, but I prefer to leave it in because it isn't very noticeable when you eat it, and I think it looks more festive. Now add the sauce back to the pot and bring it to a boil once again. Now we're ready to can. Take a hot jar and fill it to within a 1/4 inch of the top. I use 1/4 pint jars for this because half a cup is usually the amount I need for whatever recipe I use it in. Wipe the rim of the jar clean. Add a lid and a ring and tighten it firmly. I still heat my lids and rings, but you don't have to if you don't want to. Put the jar back into the canner to stay warm until all of the jars are full. Then lower the rack into the canner and make sure there is at least 1 inch of water covering the jars. Put the lid on the canner and bring it to a boil. You'll know the water is boiling when you see steam coming out from under the lid. At that point, start your processing time. The hot sauce needs to be processed for 10 minutes. If you live at high altitudes, adjust your processing time to suit your altitude. When the time is up, turn off the heat and remove the lid. Let the canner sit for at least 5 minutes. Then remove the jars and place them on a towel on the counter to cool. The next day, remove the rings, wash the jars, write hot sauce on the top, and the date that you can them. Personally, I don't like foods that are so hot that they are uncomfortable to eat. Watery eyes, a runny nose, and coughing and gagging isn't my idea of a good recipe. I like things with just enough heat to wake up your taste buds, and that's what you get from this recipe. It's mild enough that we actually like to use it as a potato chip dip. You just have to try this with sour cream and onion potato chips. It is the bomb. So that's how I can hot sauce. I hope it helps.